Let's get cozied up and read a little bit more of The Little House on the Prairie. We're still working on Chapter 1, Going West. It was a long, long way to Indian Territory. Almost every day the horses traveled as far as they could. Almost every night, Ma and Pa made camp in a new place. Sometimes we had to stay several days in one camp because a creek was in flood and they couldn't cross it till the water went down. They crossed too many creeks to count. They saw strange woods and hills and strange countries with no trees. They drove across rivers on long wooden bridges, and they came to one wide yellow river that had no bridge. That was the Missouri River. Pa drove onto a raft, and they all sat still in the wagon while the raft went swaying away from the safe land and slowly crossed all that rolling, muddy, yellow water. After more days, they came to the hills again. In a valley, the wagon stuck fast and deep in black mud. Rain poured down and thunder crashed and lightning flared. There was no place to make camp and build a fire. Everything was damp and chill and miserable in the wagon, but they had to stay in it and eat cold bites of food. Next day, Pa found a place on a hillside where they could camp. The rain had stopped, but they had to wait a week before the creek went down and the mud dried so that Pa could dig the wagon wheels out of it and go on. One day, while they were waiting, a tall, lean man came out of the woods riding a black pony. He and Pa talked a while. Then they went off onto the woods together, and when they came back, both of them were riding black ponies. Pa had traded the tired brown horses for those ponies. They were beautiful little horses, and Pa said they were not really ponies, they were Western Mustangs. They're strong as mules and getting as kittens, and gentle as kittens, Pa said. They had a large, soft, gentle eyes, and long manes and tails, and slender legs and feet, much smaller and quicker than the feet of the horses in the big wagons. When Laura asked what their names were, Pa said that she and Mary could name them. So Mary named one Pet, and Laura named one Patty. When the creek's roar was not so loud and the road was drier, Pa dug the wagon out of the mud. He hitched Pet and Patty to it, and they all went off together. They had come out in a covered wagon all the long way from the big woods of Wisconsin, across Minnesota and Iowa and Missouri. And all that long way Jack had trotted under the wagon. Now they set out to go across Kansas. Kansas was an endless flat land covered with tall grass blowing in the wind. Day after day they traveled in Kansas and saw nothing but the rippling grass and enormous sky. In a perfect circle, the sky curved down to the level of the land, and the wagon was in a circle exactly middle. All day long, Pet and Patty went forward, trotting and walking and trotting again, but they couldn't get out of the middle of that circle. When the sun went down, the circle was still around them, and the edge of the sky was pink. Then slowly the land became black. The wind made a howling sound in the grass. The campfire was small and lost in so much space, but large stars hung from the sky, glittering so near that Laura felt she could almost touch them. Next day, the land was the same. The sky was the same. The circle did not change. Laura and Mary were tired of it all. There was nothing for them new to do and nothing new to look at. The bed was made in the back of the wagon and nearly covered with a great blanket. Laura and Mary sat on it. The canvas sides up the wagon were rolled up and tied so the prairie wind blew in. It whipped Laura's straight brown hair and Mary's golden curls every which way, and the strong light screwed up their eyelids. Sometimes a big jackrabbit bounded in and bounds ways along the blowing grass. Jack paid no attention. Poor Jack was tired too, and his paws were sore from traveling so far. The wagon kept on jolting, the canvas top snapped in all the wind. Two faint wheel tracks kept going away behind the wagon, almost always the same. Pa's back was hunched. The reins were loose in his hands, and the wind blew his long brown beard. Ma sat straight and quiet, her hands folded in her lap. Baby Carrie slept in a nest among the soft bundles. "Oh, wow," Mary yawned, and Laura said, "Ma, can't we get out and run behind the wagon? My legs are so tired." "No, Laura," Ma said. "Aren't we going to camp pretty soon?" Laura asked. It seemed such a long time since noon, when they had eaten their lunch sitting on the clean grass in shade of the wagon. Pa answered, "Not yet. It's too early to camp now." "I want to camp now. I'm so tired," Laura said. Then Ma said, "Laura." That was all, but it meant that Laura must not complain. So she did not complain any more out loud, but she was still naughty inside. She sat and thought complaints to herself. Her legs ached and the wind wouldn't stop blowing her hair. The grass waved around the wagon, jolted, and nothing else happened for a long time. "We are coming to a creek or a river," Pa said. "Girls, can you see those trees ahead?" Laura stood up and held on to one of the wagon bows. Far ahead she saw a low, dark smudge. "That's trees," Pa said. "You can tell by the shape of the shadow. In this country, tree means water. That's where we will camp tonight." And that is it for today. Tomorrow we will begin Chapter 2, Crossing the Creek. I hope that you're enjoying this series, Little House on the Prairie. This is my original book from when I was a little girl. I had to be about 5 or 6. My favorite aunt gave it to me. And yes, I'm going to say that in every video, in every reading that I do. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you were able to relax for a few minutes. I enjoy reading this book, and I enjoy having you join me. I will catch you on my next video.